Excellent. So everybody can see my screen. If anybody can't, go ahead and yell on the chat, and that way Ed will stop me.
Don't yell, guys. Just let us know.
So right here we're looking at the Launchpad. It's one of the demo boards that ships with Eagle. This is the MSP EXP430 F5529LP. And we're going to use this board as the example. So one of the first things that maybe some of you notice is there's no longer a make button. The make button has been replaced by the OneClick Manufacturing. It's more efficient, and from the get-go, you're not uploading anything to the cloud. Your design files are going to be local, and this is especially nice for the new users. So let's start exploring that first, since that's the easiest example. So what it does is it's going to go off of your DRC settings under layers, and it's basically going to determine what layer template to use. Now, I want to emphasize something here. When you set up the layers in the DRC, you always want to work from the outside surfaces towards the middle. So on a 2-layer board, it's layer 1 and layer 16, top and bottom. On a 4-layer board, you want to do 1, 2, 15, 16. Okay, you're working from the outside towards the center. A lot of users will do 1, 2, 3, 16, and I believe that our developers have accounted for that, but in a case where you have many other layers, it may not work 100%, so you want to focus on using the recommended procedure, which is always to work from the outside surfaces towards the middle. So right now we have a 2-layer board. If I just click on one button manufacturing, what's going to happen is Eagle's going to give you a list of all the files that are going to be generated. Okay, so you see the Gerber jobs generated. You have top copper, bottom copper. You have the outline, the profile, solder mask top, solder mask bottom, solder paste top, solder paste bottom, silkscreen top, silkscreen bottom. Notice that now everything has the extension Gerber. We're not using the old proprietary extensions that we had. We're now using GBR for everything and letting the name specify what the file contains. And as you can see here, it's all going to be put into one zip file. So I'm going to click OK. It's going to ask me where I want the zip file to be placed. By default, it's going to go to the same location where the board and schematic are saved. So again, for those of you who have used Eagle for a long time, this is very familiar to you. Eagle always defaults to saving in the same location where the board and schematic are. This is no different. The wonderful thing now is that it's all in the zip file. If I hit save, that's going to be it. Everything is going to be there, and now it opens Eagle opens the folder so we can view, and there's our zip file.
Now, you'll notice that the files itself, they changed their name. Jorge's going to be going into explaining what's the mindset with the new name system. And when we set up a brand new cam job, he'll go through that. You'll see how that works, okay? So it's not using the same naming and nomenclature that maybe you were used to. It's slightly different, but it's all reliable, okay?
Yep. And again, for those of you who have pre-existing cam jobs, we want to reassure you they're safe. They all work perfectly on the new version of Eagle with this cam process, so you don't have to worry. The nice thing of the OneClick Manufacturing is, especially if you're new to Eagle, you don't have to deal with the configuring a cam job, figuring out what your precision is. It's all basically going off of a very safe default. So if you're making simple boards, which is what you would expect a beginner to be doing, we know sometimes that's not always the case, but in general that holds. OneClick Manufacturing is a really nice introduction to the CAM processor. So
it works all the way up to 8 layers, which is not a simple board, but as long as you're not using blind and buried vias, you're golden.
Right. And even then, we'll be talking about that a little bit later with the CAM processor. So like I mentioned, make button is gone. It's been replaced by the OneClick Manufacturing, and this is going to allow for a much better experience for our end users. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is the manufacturing panel. So for those of you who really value your screen real estate and you want to have control over these buttons, if you, for whatever reason, don't want to see the manufacturing flyout, or the Fusion flyout for that matter, go to Options, User Interface. Under Extensions, you can just uncheck the appropriate boxes to disable them. Okay, so you have full control over these features. And we're confident. We know that once you start using them, you're going to love them and you'll leave them there. So let's start with manufacturing. And you can see here in the preview, this is a manufacturer's view. Okay, this is a pretty nice representation of what your finished board is going to look like. Notice that the traces are there. I can zoom in, I can pan. Zooming in and out can be done with the scroll wheel or with the icons up here. I can pan by holding down and left click. If we scroll around, I don't know if this board has many polygons. It does. It does over here.
I think it has one, Jorge.
Yeah. So the polygons will show filled in as well. You can zoom back out over here. We can do bottom side. We can get a drills view.
That's maybe one of my favorite parts, the drill view right there.
Now, the other thing that you can do here, if you notice, this dialog is not blocking. So I can come back to the board and I can make changes. I can adjust the design. I can keep working in Eagle. And if I have live update checked, it will immediately update. Okay, so let's try something just for the sake of comparison. Let's go over here. I'm gonna pick. Let me see. What's
Need to maybe zoom in on the same area on the panel as well as an eagle. That way.
Yeah, I'm gonna go here in the center. Let's do this, and then that way it's easy. So I zoom in. There we are. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the route command, and I just want you guys to observe this little trace here, so we can show the live update. I'll do a route. I'll make sure that loop removal is on. Okay, I'll start routing. And okay. And now if I click over here, just redrew it.
I think you might have to save the file, Jorge, no?
That's probably what it is. Okay, and let's go ahead and refresh it. Got the right chip, right? Okay. The other thing we can do is I'll uncheck it, recheck it, see if it makes a change. Oop. Okay, so we'll move on to that one. We'll review that one.
I've done it many times. It's worked, so spot on. Not sure exactly. Of course, you know.
You know what it could be? I didn't download the latest one today. I used the build from yesterday. So probably that was fixed before the release. So those of you who have the release version should be able to see that. The other thing we can change here, and this is more of a nice to have, you can adjust the colors of everything. So for example, if I pick a solder mask color and I pick something like purple, we have an Osh Park board.
Osh Park. If you're here with us, Osh Park, kudos.
Kudos. Oh, there it is. There it is. It fixed it. Look. There it is.
Oh, there you go. There's the modification. Excellent.
So it looks like I just had to change something to be able to trigger the update. Okay, but there it is. Excellent. Now the other thing you can do from here is you can export an image, either a PNG or an SVG file. You can export a DXF. Now this DXF export is superior to the traditional DXF UOPs that we have in Eagle. For those of you who have been using Eagle for a long time, you'll know that the default UOPs that export in Eagle do so by basically generating a flat DXF. Everything gets smushed onto one layer. If you do an export DXF through this button and through the CAM processor, which we'll show later, you will get a layered DXF. So all of the different drawing layers, the copper layers, each of those will be individually selectable within the DXF. So let's go ahead and move on to the next tab. This is a board tab, and this tab contains information like, again, those of you who have used Eagle before, similar to what the statistics UOP gives you. It gives it in a much nicer format, all in one panel. So you can see numbers of drills, minimum, maximum, different pad sizes.
Your audio.
My audio's off?
Yeah, your audio is got really gurgly all of a sudden.
How about now? better?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you can get all that information here. Now, let's go to the drills. This one's always interesting. From the drills tab, you can export a table in CSV or JSON format. You can filter to only show drills that you're interested in. So for example, if I only want to see the holes on the board, I uncheck these two and I get the non-plated through holes. If you have vias that are of a similar size, or you're trying to consolidate so that you don't have as many different types, you can kind of group them by setting a tolerance. So I'm going to pick a really big tolerance, so it's going to possibly group everything together maybe into 2 sections. If I pick 1 millimeter, you'll see that it just drops to 2, and it shows the range of sizes because I've kind of grouped them based on tolerance. The other cool thing here is, let me go ahead and zoom out, do a zoomed out view. If we do show, and I pick one of these, so let's pick this one that's the most bountiful. If I click on show, they all highlight. Okay, so you can see all of the vias of that type. If I just click through the different sizes here. So let me see, which one is it? There we go. Then we have the holes, which highlight. So very handy, gives you a really easy way to find specific vias that you're looking for. And that's the manufacturing flyout. Again, this one does not block, so you can move around, you can work, you can route, and have it open. Oftentimes, in order to be able to focus on your work, you may want to close it, you can. And then whenever you need to review something, or you want to check something, just hit manufacturing again, and it'll pop up. Okay.
So basically, it gives you the capability of working on your board in real time from almost a manufacturer perspective in essence. Is that what we're looking for here, Jorge?
That's the idea, to be able to have that manufacturing feedback as we're designing the board.
Excellent.
So let's go for what we all came here to see, and that's the new CAM processor. For those of you who are existing Eagle customers, this was going to look very different compared to what you're used to, but it's very easy to understand. So the first thing I want to highlight is that it has defaulted to template layer 2. You'll notice that now it's organized by the file type. So we have drill files, we have Gerber files, drawings, which we can use to add DXF output, and we have legacy. Anything that's a pre-existing Eagle job prior to version 8.6, when you import that, it will come under the legacy section. And just so that we can put everybody at ease who maybe is still concerned about their existing CAM jobs, what you can do is you can click here, and we go local CAM jobs, and you'll see that we still ship the original CAM jobs that have always been part of Eagle. So let's pick gerb274x.cam. You'll notice that it now pops up under the legacy section. So if we check each tab, we can see the different parameters, the layers that are in each tab. And if you hit process job, it will run and generate Gerbers just like it always has. Okay? So if you just want to use a pre-existing CAM job as it works, as it's always been, just load it, click process job, and everything will be exported as usual. Now you can convert them very easily to the new format. Just click them, and you'll see CAM sections have been converted.
Now the conversion is per section, right, Jorge?
Well, you can do it per section, or if you right-click on Legacy, you'll see the option Convert All Eligible Legacy Sections to New CAM Format. If I click that, then they all get converted. Okay, so you can do them one at a time, or convert them all as you see fit. Now, the other thing we want to show here, or the other important thing we want to make clear, is that the fact that this section is separate from Legacy is also to let you know that we're now using Gerber X2 as the default Gerber standard for Eagle. Now Gerber X2 is backwards compatible with Gerber RS274X. So if you have a manufacturer who still hasn't or doesn't have support for Gerber X2, you don't have to worry. You can generate the Gerbers, give them to the manufacturer, and because of the very clever way that UCAMCO designed the Gerber X2 standard, they won't have any issues opening the file. So when in doubt, generate Gerber X2 files and send them off to the manufacturer. Okay, you'll also see here that when you specify these parameters, these are automatically specified for the whole set of that file type. So those of you who are used to the old CAM processor dialog, you know that in each tab, you could actually specify a different format. In some cases, people did that unknowingly, and it would create confusion because when the Gerber viewer imported the files, they weren't all output to the same standard. So now, even though that issue was very rare, now it can't happen because basically you're defining what the format is right here for the whole section. Every file under Gerber is going to be the same format. Again, we can set up here the format. Right now it's in metric. We can choose imperial and then make the adjustments, 2, 5, similar to what we had before.
For those of our legacy users, you remember you had to edit the Eagle def file using an ASCII editor, and we actually had created many devices which actually had different formats. Now this is a lot easier since you're able to change your unit system and your specifier directly from the interface.
Correct. So you'll notice under Gerber, you have Gerber X2, you have Gerber RS274X, and Gerber RS274X with comments. These are the most commonly used. These are the ones that we're supporting by default. Again, if you need any of the old jobs, the old HPGL, those types of old drivers, those are all going to show up under Legacy. So you would pick Legacy and select Open Legacy job and start adding to it and make other adjustments as you saw fit. So we can go here. Now, let's go ahead and talk about drill files. Let's go ahead and open up one of the templates. You'll notice Eagle ships with basically all of the default possible layer templates. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. So in essence, there's now built-in CAM jobs for all of the layer combinations that we support. So let's go ahead and pick a 2-layer CAM job. You'll notice we have here the current style, right? This is a Gerber X2. You can edit the description just using the same editor we're used to. Under Advanced, you can do offset, you can mirror. So these features might be helpful if you're like trying to do some sort of toner transfer. You can mirror the Gerber output, you can rotate it, etc. Now, if we look here, here's where things start to get a little bit different. Okay, we have top copper as the name of this section. We can specify a function. The Gerber X2 standard has several functions already predefined, so we can pick its copper, its legend, other, paste, profile, solder mask, and there's all these other options. When in doubt, just leave it on other, and that will work just fine. You can specify the layer type. In this case, it's top. It's going to be the first layer, and these are the layers it contains. Okay, we can add layers by clicking here and just picking a layer and adding it. We can also remove layers as need be. If you notice this is selected, if I uncheck it, say OK, it'll go away. Okay. Now one thing here that's important to understand. Some of you may have noticed that there's no process section button anymore. Okay. That has been replaced with export file. Okay, so if you just want to export one of these, just hit export file. Now I want to bring your attention to something interesting. If you notice for profile, there's no layer selected, but there is board shape and cutouts. So this is something that for those of you who are veteran Eagle users, this is something that you need to be very aware of. Okay. These two checkboxes, board shape and cutouts, are independent of any layer that you can specify here. Now you may argue, well, why not just put the dimensions layer? Well, the dimensions layer can actually contain more than just the board outline. And again, experienced users are aware of this. So if you want, you can just select, like we do in the template, board shape and cutouts. This is calculated based on the board shape feature, the same one that we use for our ECAD-MCAD integration. That's what's being included here. Okay, the board shape and the cutouts. If you want to continue to export the dimension layer because you have special features on there, you just go ahead and add it in. Okay, and you can uncheck the board shape and cutouts feature. The other thing you could do is on every layer, if you wish, to help the board house, you can just tack on the board shape to everything. And that way they can line things up. So depending on the board house, maybe they'll request this. More often than not they don't, but it is an option that now you can very easily control. Now let's look at Exelon. If we look at Exelon, we see that it's right now including the only drill configuration that this board has, which is basically just through hole from top to bottom. Now one thing that you want to be aware of is that in the old CAM processor, if there were 3 or 4 via configurations, you had blind, you had buried vias, then Eagle would generate those automatically. It would go ahead and parse them. In the way the new CAM processor is set up, we want to make that process a little bit more explicit. Now that doesn't mean that you have to go in and add every single drill type yourself. That's not what that means. What it means is that if you right click here on Exelon, you'll see that there's an option that says generate Exelon outputs based on PCB stackup. So what's going to happen is that the CAM processor will analyze your DRC setup in the layers tab, and it will generate different Exelon files for each layer stackup, and it will do so automatically. Okay, so that's something to be aware of. If you have blind, if you have buried vias, just go ahead and right click and select generate Exelon outputs based on PCB stackup. You'll see the different files, and you can check each one, make sure everything has the information you want it to contain. Okay, so let's go ahead now and go to our blank template. Let's say maybe our single layer one. Okay, and you'll notice that we're missing the bottom copper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on Gerber, right click, select new Gerber output, and I've created a new one. I'm going to go ahead and name it. I'll say bottom. Okay, I will set its function to be copper. You can say layer, it's the bottom one. Layer number, you can say 16. Okay, in this case, we'll go ahead and bring in our layer 16 pads and vias. Say okay, perfect. I can go ahead and pick to add in the board shape, just that way I have something to reference, or as is habitual for most EAGLE users, just leave it off. Now, for those of you who are really advanced with the CAM processor, you may not recognize this placeholder. Okay, this is a new placeholder. What does it do? Okay, if you notice, when you hover over any of the fields, you get a description. What the %FF is going to do is it's going to basically combine the name, combine the function, .gbr. Okay, so all of the old prefixes are also still available, so you can adjust them, you can play with them, and create, your own desired location as you see fit by putting in the prefixes as you want them for your setup. Okay, so that's how we can set up very simply a bottom copper layer. So you can do something similar with Exelon. You can just say new Exelon output, and again, in our case we only have the 1 to 16, but you can choose to only include, for example, the non-plated through holes, and say this is non-plated drills. Okay, and you'll notice that in the file name, it's going to have the name of the design, the from layer, the layer where it starts, to the to layer, the layer where it ends. Okay, so you have full control over this. When you make your own sections, you can adjust the extensions as you see fit. If you want to use the old style because you're more comfortable with that, you can define those as well. Okay, so the last thing that I want to mention is we can add a DXF drawing. You'll see it goes under the drawing section. We can organize by layers, we can organize by signals and layers, give it a name, and you can export this file. Remember the zip option. If you check here, everything will be exported into a compressed zip file. Okay, so this has been the manufacturing webinar. This is everything that's new in version 8.6. So if you guys notice, we just want to do a quick recap, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Ed for that.
But we'd like to everybody to know that, you don't have to worry about your old Gerbers. I want to reiterate on that. Your CAM jobs are 100% valid, okay? And we have some users that have a large collection of cam jobs depending of their clients or depending of their manufacturer. So no worry at all. So this version of Eagle is mainly all about post-processing and creating your manufacturing data. It gives you the capability of viewing and experiencing your design time in real time with the way the manufacturer is actually going to see your board as well. Earlier today, I actually was able to see a board that got actually prototyped, and he actually had a picture of the prototype board as well as the manufacturer panel, and I'll be honest with you, they were spot on. So it actually works really well. So it gives you that perspective from the manufacturing point of view. Now, many of us will be able to use the one button solution. In other words, using that manufacturing button should really take care of a vast majority of your post-processing. Now, that manufacturing data file that's going to be created is going to be based on the cam job templates I already have, and they are going to be using the X2 format. So that's why I wanted to bring this up after Jorge explained what was going to do, because it's going to be based on X2. Now, no worries about it. Almost all board houses should have no problem using X2 because it is 100% compatible with the RS-274X, which we are used to as well. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them on the chat. If you need us to demo anything else, we'll like to go ahead and do that as well. In the meantime, just want to say thank you to, I noticed a lot of the names on there. I recognize them, so thanks for participating. Also, as of today, most probably, if not tomorrow, we'll have a series of videos on our YouTube channel in which we will be posting this webinar, but we will also be posting little, how I call it, Jorge, some tutorial videos that we made with explaining this in detail as well. Now, they're small video tutorials. We don't want to make them too long, and we broke them down by either the panel or the manufacturing or the CAM processor. So if you missed anything here, don't worry about it. We'll be posting those tutorial videos on our YouTube channel as well. Okay. Now, also in the Eagle folder, there is a document folder, and you'll find a file there called update. It's an ASCII file. That update text file actually also has an explanation of what was updated to this latest release. I don't see any questions right now.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Oh, okay. You do see it? Okay.
Yeah, we do have a few questions.
Oh, okay.
So one question is, are the discounts applicable for renewing or an existing subscription?
I don't know what.
Have them contact Eagle Sales.
Okay, I've been instructed to, yes, go ahead and email eaglesales@autodesk.com. That way they could go ahead and take care of that. I'm not really sure. I don't have a direct answer for that. So just contact eaglesales@autodesk.com. That's eaglesales@autodesk.com.
Okay. The other one we have here comes from Taka Fujimoto. Says, I can't change size of a CAM processor window even though a handle is shown on the right and bottom edge of the window. That dialog right now isn't adjustable. Is it something that it's too big for your screen? Is that what you're seeing, Taka? Because right now that dialog is not adjustable as far as its size is concerned. It has the handle, but it's not enabled.
So right now you're not able to resize the CAM the CAM processor screen at this time.
Oh, it's too small. So he probably has a high resolution monitor, so it comes
Okay.
out chiquitico. Okay. Okay, definitely something that we'll look into to be able to make that even better for you.
Okay, yeah, we'll just mention it to developers to see if something can be done on a future version. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, he uses a Surface Book, high resolution monitor. All right, thank you, Taka, for letting us know. We'll definitely bring this back to our devs. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Any other questions? Anything else we can do for you? Okay, I don't see any other questions right now, Ed.
Well, I would like to thank everybody for joining us on this webinar and registering. Go ahead and we will be sending notifications for any other future webinars that we have. Keep track of our YouTube channel. We're always posting brand new tips as well as tutorial videos as well. Everybody have a great day. This is Edwin Robledo from the Autodesk support team, and with me today was...
Who else but me? George.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Make sure to kill the event, Ed. Yeah, we gotta talk to Ken.
What happened?
One user on Windows can't resize, and I can't resize either. Pero Travis said that he can resize on the Mac. So that means there's some inconsistency there.
Was he talking to you personally? Because I was trying to find that chat between you guys. I couldn't see it. So I guess he was sending emails, chatting with you directly, you know? Because I could see the questions, but I couldn't see the... Okay.
Good job.
We need to stop this thing, you know?
Let's see how it sounds now.